Guys, Jacqueline here with Zenith Home Loans. Thank you so much for joining me for this week's TCA Tuesday, Total Cost Analysis Tuesday. What I wanted to take a look at is we're starting to see an influx of people who are ready to move on to their next home, but don't want to write a contingent offer. So trying to find that balance of, as long as you qualify for both properties, what's the best way for us to set up the purchase of the new home, knowing we're going to have potentially this influx of cash that we're going to have the ability to, in a normal circumstance, in a more balanced market, we would be able to write a contingent offer. So we could sell our first home and then close on our new home on the same day. The market isn't indicative of that right now. So we have a kind of a backup plan and a different strategy that we can employ. So the particular scenario that we're going to look at today is for a client who has a home that they're planning to sell. They're probably going to net somewhere between $200,000 and $250,000 from their sale because they bought it several years ago. So they've got quite a bit of equity. And they have about $100,000 that they want to put down for the new house, and trying to figure out the best strategy to purchase the new home and to be able to get that monthly payment down. So I'm going to share my screen with you. And we're going to take a look at just some different ways that we can set things up. So because of the loan situation for this particular client, it makes sense for us to do a first and a second mortgage. So we've got our purchase prices in here, we've got our interest rate, our monthly payment, and our cash to close. So as I mentioned, we wanted to be right around $100,000 for cash to close. The clients have set a number that they want to have paid off on the second mortgage. So we've made it a stagnant number. It's going to be $200,000 on the second mortgage. So we basically just adjusted our total loan amounts and made that first mortgage a little bit more fluctuating within our loan purposes, so that when they go and they sell their exit home and they've moved into their new home, they can take that $200,000, pay off the second mortgage, and that payment will automatically drop. So in all of these options, we've got our purchase price here. We're doing 10% down and we're doing a second to cover the difference. Again, $200,000 across the board. Our blended rate is a combination of our first mortgage rate and our second mortgage rate. In these scenarios, I'm using 4.125 on the first mortgage and 4.25% on the second. And we've got our total payment. So these are pretty high numbers. So monthly payment includes taxes, insurance, no mortgage insurance, because on our first mortgage, we have more than 20% down. And then we've got a second mortgage payment in here. And then our cash to close, we've been able to keep that right around 100,000. So when I click on more info, I've got my second mortgage payment in here. So it's right around, and the 950 number, it's a little bit higher, and it's just because of the way the loan numbers broke down. But we're right around $1,000. So basically what I'm telling the client is we can set up this loan structure. And as soon as you pay off that second mortgage, we're going to wipe out $1,000 off the monthly payment, and that's going to drop our monthly payment down. So if I go to my reinvestment page, so we've got our first mortgage payment, PITI, and we've got our second mortgage payment. So you can see in here, once we pay off that second mortgage and make this a little bit easier to read, what the new mortgage payment's going to be. And this payment's a lot more in line with where they want that long-term loan to be. So without having to do any kind of recast or a refinance on the property, they're going to be able to take that $200,000 down that they're going to, or excuse me, $200,000 proceeds that they're going to net from their sale, and just go ahead and wipe out that second mortgage altogether and drop that payment right away. And then, of course, if we see some refinance opportunities into the future, then we can always take a look at that. But for these particular clients where we're really looking for our forever home, so we're willing to put down all of the money that we can, looking for the best rate available, want to do a 30-year fix in this particular situation, and really just finding a better structure that works for how they want to set things up. And what this allows us to do is to not be a contingent offer, which is going to make our offer stronger for any of the sellers. It's going to keep us out of a jumbo loan territory. And those underwriting guidelines, they're a little bit more strict. Sometimes they can take a little bit longer just because there's extra guidelines that we have to jump through. And because right now they only have access to about 10% down versus 20% down or more, we're able to keep that interest rate a lot lower, because on jumbo loans, you don't have mortgage insurance, but they do charge you a higher interest rate. So like a 10% down loan on a jumbo loan today might be 4.875. Whereas if we do the first and the second, and we know we're going to pay off that second mortgage, we're able to keep that interest rate a lot lower. So it's really important to be able to take a look at different strategies that you can employ to really better fit your needs. So it's that whole rule of thumb that not all loan scenarios fit every person. So there's always going to be a different strategy, a different structure. So you might hear some of your friends or family members who say that, oh, I got this one loan and they gave me $15,000 in closing costs, or I got a 2.5% interest rate, or whatever the case may be. What you miss in those conversations, and what clients, or excuse me, what your friends and your family members don't tell you, is the overall structure of the loan. Why did we structure it that way? So I had a client the other day who came to me and said, hey, my friend got a really low interest rate, and it was like 3.5% based on where today's rates are. And I took a look at it because it's just not a rate that's available for her specific loan criteria. And we took a look at it, and it was actually an FHA loan. And those FHA loans have lower interest rates versus what we were doing for her was going to be a conventional loan. So the rate's going to be a little bit higher because there's less mortgage insurance on the property. So there is a really big fluctuation between the loan types that other people get versus what makes sense for you. So it's important to find out what the best loan structure is for your specific financial situation. For these particular clients, this might not be a very desirable loan product for a lot of people, but for these consumers and these buyers, this is a perfect loan structure for them because it meets all of their needs. We don't have to be contingent. We can put down less than 20%, and we're going to be able to get that loan paid down on that second mortgage and knock out that payment and get it down to where we wanted. For someone else who may have access to 20% down, this loan structure doesn't make sense for them. So it really just comes down to finding the best strategy for you, working with somebody like myself, who's going to help you find all of the different ways that we can structure a loan to fit your long-term financial goals as well as the right now financial goals. So hopefully this is helpful information. I haven't had enough coffee today. Hopefully you have. If there's questions, comments, concerns, if there's specific scenarios that you'd like to see, or if there's just a different loan structure that you would like to take a look at and see if it makes sense for us to move forward on for you, reach out, put some comments in the message below. I'll include the link to this in our profile today, but I hope this is helpful and give you a little bit of extra information that maybe you didn't have yesterday.